Friends, do you remember the last time you sat in front of a TV, anxiously waiting for your favorite show to update? You probably don't remember, because in today's world, whatever we want to watch, we just tap our phone or iPad and it appears instantly. We are surrounded by a sea of film and television content, and we can even binge watch an entire season of a popular show. But have you ever wondered if all this taken for granted was absolutely unimaginable 20 years ago? Back then, media giants like HBO and Blockbuster controlled content distribution, reigning supreme and enjoying the huge dividends brought by traditional models. Who would have thought that a small company that started with DVD rentals would stir up an earth-shattering revolution, completely overthrowing the way we watch TV and movies and even reshaping the entire entertainment industry? Yes, I'm talking about Netflix. It was once an inconspicuous name, but today, it is the world's largest streaming media giant, a super empire with a market value of hundreds of billions in content covering the globe. So how exactly did Netflix do it? How did it grow from a small disc rental shop step by step into a disruptor that makes traditional media giants tremble with fear? And what business wisdom and life logic hidden behind this can we ordinary people learn from? Today, let me take you on a journey to deeply uncover the rise of Netflix. This is not a simple review of a success story, but a brand legend about courage, foresight, and rebirth from desperate situations. And even more so, a set of underlying logics about innovation and disruption that are most worth knowing in your life. The story begins in 1997. Back then, the internet was just starting to become popular, and the DVD format had just been introduced. Two young men, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, discovered a pain point. Going to a physical store to rent videotapes or DVDs not only required rushing during business hours, but even worse, if you forgot to return them within the specified time, the high late fees were simply excruciating. You might think this is no big deal, just a few days late. But for consumers at the time, this was definitely a thorn in their side. And these two young men saw the huge business opportunity behind this thorn. They thought, what if there was a way for people to rent DVDs from home without the hassle of late fees? Thus, in 1997, Netflix was born. The initial model was very simple. Online DVD rental. Users selected the movies they wanted to watch on the website. Netflix mailed the DVDs to your home, and after watching, you sent them back in a prepaid envelope. Sounds a bit old-fashioned, right? But the key is, what was their core advantage? No late fees. This, at the time, was an epic-making innovation. You no longer had to worry about forgetting to return discs due to busyness, and that heart-wrenching feeling of being fined completely disappeared. Moreover, Netflix also introduced a subscription model, where you paid a fixed monthly fee and could rent DVDs an unlimited number of times. This model completely changed people's perception of disc rental. In that era, what illusion did Netflix bring to users? It was freedom, it was control. You suddenly found that watching movies was no longer a passive act, limited by cinema schedules or Blockbuster's business hours, but an active choice, completely controlled by yourself. You could curl up on the sofa, slowly choose, slowly enjoy, without worrying about any additional costs. In the early 21st century, Netflix quickly accumulated a large number of users with this simple but effective business model. They even once offered to acquire Blockbuster, hoping to be acquired for $50 million. Can you believe it? Blockbuster was the king of media rental at the time, with tens of thousands of stores and a market value of billions of dollars. They arrogantly rejected Netflix, even scoffing at it, because in their view, internet disc rental, that was just a small-time operation. How could it shake their massive physical empire? But the irony of history lies in this. Blockbuster's arrogance laid the groundwork for Netflix's rise. They missed the best time to embrace the future, while Netflix, like a seed, quietly took root in unpromising soil, waiting for its own era to truly arrive. But good times don't last, or rather when the tide of the times rolls in, if you don't adjust your course in time, even the largest ship can be smashed on the beach. Entering the second decade of the 21st century, the rapid development of internet bandwidth brought a new technological trend to the surface: streaming media. What is streaming media? What is streaming media? Simply put, you no longer need to download files. You can watch while playing directly on the internet. This is like sending a message directly through WeChat instead of going to the post office to mail a letter. The efficiency and experience are worlds apart. For Netflix, this was both an opportunity and a challenge. They realized the potential of streaming media early on, but transforming from physical DVD rentals to online streaming was not as simple as just changing players. It involved huge investments in content rights, server infrastructure construction, and cultivating user habits. Here, we will begin to deconstruct how Netflix gradually completed this perilous transformation, and how traditional media giants, due to arrogance and self-imposed limitations, embarked on a path of decline. The first problem: traditional media's strategic missteps, clinging to the past, missing the future. You may not know that when Netflix was still struggling to secure content rights, those traditional media giants, such as film companies and TV stations, had massive libraries of film and television content. If they had realized the huge potential of streaming media at the first opportunity and actively planned for it, Netflix would simply not have its position today. But what did they do? They guarded their own small plots, thinking about how to sell existing cinema releases and TV broadcasting rights for a good price, or how to sell DVDs for higher profits. They were full of distrust and rejection of the emerging streaming media model. In their view, putting content online for free or at a low price wouldn't that be digging their own graves? They even feared that the internet would impact their traditional distribution channels and box office revenue. Even more fatally, they completely lacked a user-centric philosophy. They were used to being condescending, telling users, "You can only watch what I broadcast." They did not realize that what users truly needed was the freedom of, "I can watch what I want to watch." This strategic short-sightedness and arrogance caused them to miss the golden period for embracing the future. When Netflix began investing heavily in streaming media, they were still haggling over copyright fees, or simply chose to wait and see. Even more fatally, technological, ecological lag. No moats of their own. Traditional media companies. Their core competitiveness was content production and distribution channels, but they lacked internet genes and technological accumulation. Operating streaming media is not just about uploading movies to a server. It involves complex encoding technology, global distribution networks, CDNs, personalized recommendation algorithms, data analysis, and so on. For example, when you open Netflix, it always recommends movies and TV shows you might like based on your past viewing history. You might think this is nothing, but you should know that this is supported by extremely complex machine learning algorithms. It can accurately understand your preferences and make you addicted. Traditional TV stations, on the other hand, can only broadcast programs according to a fixed schedule, and there is no talk of personalization. The traditional media ecosystem was closed, and they operated independently. Film companies had their own content, TV stations had their own channels, and it was difficult for them to form a synergy. Netflix, from the beginning, had an open internet mindset, dedicated to building a unified platform, bringing together global content, and enhancing the user viewing experience through technological means. The most critical factor was internal management, cultural conflict, arrogance, and prejudice. Remember Blockbuster I mentioned earlier? They rejected Netflix's acquisition offer, believing streaming media was heresy. This arrogance and prejudice against new things are almost the common reasons for the decline of all traditional giants. Traditional media companies often have huge organizational structures and complex vested interests. New technologies and business models mean touching the interests of existing departments and changing existing workflows, which will encounter huge resistance. Engineers may want to try new technologies, but decision-makers may choose to be conservative for fear of risk. Netflix's culture, however, was completely different. They advocated a corporate culture of freedom and responsibility, encouraging innovation and allowing experimentation. They were very clear that only by constantly adapting to change could they survive in fierce competition. Compared to their competitors, while traditional media was still immersed in its golden age, Netflix had already begun to use new rules for dimension reduction attacks. They quickly attracted a large number of young users with low subscription fees, a huge amount of film and television content, and an ultimate user experience. Movies that could only be watched through cinemas or DVDs in the past could now be watched anytime, anywhere without commercial interruptions. This was like how feature phones were instantly eliminated after the advent of smartphones. It was a victory for the ecosystem. What was the fatal blow? When Netflix started producing original content. You may still remember the advent of House of Cards, which, with its cinematic production quality, subverted the traditional TV series broadcasting model, releasing all episodes at once, allowing viewers to binge watching. This move directly hit the Achilles heel of traditional media. The content of traditional media was purchased, and they could not fully control it. Original content meant that Netflix had complete intellectual property rights, could be released globally simultaneously, and could be adjusted based on user data feedback. This was not just a competition of content, but a comprehensive overhaul of business models. Those traditional media giants who had once disdained Netflix finally felt an unprecedented crisis. Today, Blockbuster has completely disappeared into the river of history, becoming a classic case that warns future generations. Netflix, on the other hand, has become synonymous with global streaming media. It continues to invest heavily in producing original content, from Squid Game to Wednesday, one blockbuster after another sweeping the globe and capturing the hearts of countless viewers. Netflix is now also facing new challenges, as giants like Disney Plus and HBO Max have also entered the streaming media arena, making competition extremely fierce. But no matter what, Netflix has profoundly changed the way we watch TV and movies, and even reshaped the entire entertainment industry. It teaches us a profound business lesson. No matter how strong the technology, if the direction is wrong, it won't save you. No matter how big an empire, if it can't keep up with the pace of the times, it will eventually be defeated by itself. Its success is not because its technology is so profound and mysterious, but because it truly understood user needs, dared to break old rules, and embrace new trends. We miss the era when we carefully selected movies by holding DVD covers. But we are also grateful to Netflix, which opened a door to infinitely exciting content for us. It proved with its own experience that innovation is endless and disruption is always possible. So, when did you first hear about Netflix? What is your favorite original series on Netflix? Tell me your answers in the comments section and share your story with Netflix. If you found today's video inspiring, please like and subscribe to my channel. This is my motivation to continue making more great content. See you in the next video.